Thursday night's game went a little extra. It didn't go to overtime thanks to the Chargers, but what a game it was, Chris Sims. It looked like the Chiefs were going to win the game easily once it went to 28-14 with 7 minutes and change left in the fourth quarter, but the Chargers were undeterred. They score a touchdown, they get the ball back, and they go down the field, and they score another, and they go for two. Resolute was Coach Anthony Lynn. He made it clear that that's what he wanted to do, and that's what they did. And now, and here we are. I mean, we talked about the possibility. And one of the reasons I was kind of rooting for the Chargers, even though I ultimately picked the Chiefs, I like the idea that we're all going to wake up today and realize the Chargers are pretty good. And there's going to be a lot of people who are surprised by the fact that the Chargers now have a fairly clear path, not just to the division title, but to the number 1 seed in the AFC.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, it was a great game. I think that's the first thing we got to talk about right off the bat. It had everything. You had your early game mistakes by Phillip Rivers. We had, oh my gosh, plays by Patrick Mahomes where I was going, that's insane. My own son committed blasphemy in my house and said, I think Mahomes is better than Rodgers, Dad. So that's how that game started out.
I thought he was blasphemy by saying I thought Mahomes is better than Grandpa.
No, well, we already passed that. We already know that. But either way, we saw that early on. Then we saw defensive struggles for a little bit, and then really offensive explosion in the fourth quarter with a lot of good plays. But we saw Phillip Rivers deliver once again, and he went through a little time in his career a few years ago where he kind of made big mistakes in the big moments. And a lot of that was because too much pressure was on him and he didn't have help. But, man, did we see some magic on those last two drives. I mean, some of the throws he made, two to Travis Benjamin. If you're watching on TV, here's the first one of the two down the middle that were just phenomenal timing, feel, something that only a quarterback with his experience. This is the one I loved, and Troy Aikman talked about it, where he threw the ball like 5 steps before Benjamin was even out of the break. But it's just a special moment for Phillip Rivers, and I think it showed us that this Chargers team is a different team than years past. They can deliver in these type of moments. Their defense can get stops when they need to, and that's a first for them in a long time.
You know, on that 2-point attempt, and we talked about this earlier in the week in the context of the Patrick Mahomes 4th and 9 play when he rolled right and he let it go, and we couldn't see where it was going, but we knew he had something. When Phillip Rivers let go of the ball last night, we couldn't see the end zone, right? At home, you're watching it, and it's like, okay, what? There goes the ball. But, like, what's there? Oh, my God, there's no one there except the receiver. How does a guy get that wide open, Chris?
Yeah, well, this is one of the bad things about the Kansas City Chiefs. They have issues in the back end every game, whether it's just physical issues with their inability to actually cover guys man-to-man and make those stops, or there's a handful of plays every game where I can look at and go, man, they blew the coverage. They messed this up, and there was a communication issue there. You could see Fuller and Skandrick after the play. They're looking at each other. So this has been a repetitive thing with the Chiefs. It's concerning. It's really one of their biggest flaws. And, you know, one of the big things that showed last night, once again, that scares you about the Chiefs when it becomes playoff-type football like the game was last night. You know, 2 things jumped out to me about the game, Mike, more than anything. You know, the Chargers, what did they do? They played real deep coverage and never let the Chiefs really have that big touchdown play all night long, right? We never saw that 60-yard touchdown pass or that, 60-yard laser that got them down to the 1-yard line, those game, field position type changing type plays. They made the Chiefs work for it. They made the Chiefs throw the ball underneath. You saw all those screens from Damian Williams early on that were working because the Chargers were so far down the field worried about stopping the big play. And I just couldn't help but think of 2 things as I was watching, Mike. First of all, they need Sammy Watkins, okay? The Chiefs need him badly because he plays off a Tyreek Hill. Oh, you want to send your coverage really deep to stop Tyreek Hill? Well, then we'll throw the ball underneath to Sammy Watkins, and that's going to be a handful for you. Or they do vice versa. Watkins goes deep, and now we get to see Tyreek Hill come underneath and catch the short passes, which we haven't seen much lately because there's nobody else to be scared there because of Tyreek Hill. And then, of course, I thought, man, did you see how they could run the ball at will? They should have ran the ball more with Andy Reid last night, I think. I think that's one area he missed out on. And they missed Kareem Hunt. those are two things I thought of as I was watching the game going, this is the type of game they need Sammy Watkins and Kareem Hunt, or at least, another guy to play off of Tyreek Hill when teams are taking away those deep passes that the Chiefs like to throw.
And that's exactly what Anthony Lynn, the coach of the Chargers, said after the game. The plan was to limit Tyreek Hill's explosive plays, to win the fourth quarter and win the turnover battle.
Right.
They didn't win the turnover battle, but they took away the explosive plays. They won the fourth quarter. And it's almost like the Chiefs had it so easy early on. They're up 14-0. They just kind of got a little complacent. Like, this is going to be easy, right? And we've seen this movie before where Andy Reid teams have leads that they blow, and whether it's in the playoffs, whether it's in the regular season, and you talked about them getting away from the run. I thought Damian Williams more than passed the eyeball test.
Definitely.
He comes in, he gets it done. But I feel like the Chiefs thought that initial wave was going to continue, and 14-0 was going to end up being 42-14, and it just didn't happen. And when it didn't happen, they didn't know what to do. Like, they couldn't do what they wanted to do, and the Chargers took away, like you said, the deep stuff, and they weren't able to go back to the dink and dunk of the Alex Smith days. And before you know it, you're out of time. That's it. And I think that's what makes the decision to go for two even more brilliant by Anthony Lynn. You don't want to give Patrick Mahomes another chance to go down the field and do Patrick Mahomes things.
Yes.
You want to take that game right then in that moment. Here's Anthony Lynn explaining his thought process after the game on going for two and going for the win.
We was going to go for two the whole time at the end of that game because I believe in these guys.
Anthony, can you just kind of take us through the 2-point, your thought, and just your certainty that you're
Well, we didn't come here to tie. We came here to win. And so to me, it was a no-brainer.
I've talked to different coaches throughout the course of the year about this thought process, going for it on fourth down, going for two, and there are so many factors that go into it, and it is so much more than analytics. It's what do you feel about the play that you would call, and do you want to project confidence in your guys?
Right.
Even if they didn't get that last night, Chris, the fact that Anthony Lynn was so resolute, the fact that he told Ken Wisenhunt before they even got the ball back from the Chiefs, if we get the ball back and score, we're going for two. That's the kind of thing that can galvanize a team and carry a team. And this was a team that was destined to be in the playoffs either way. But now that they've gotten the win, and now that they're guaranteed to be in, and now they've got a shot at the one seed, even if they don't get it. Look, I mean, the irony here would be the Chargers are the last team in the AFC that needs home field advantage.
Right.
We've seen them go. They are 6-0 away from Los Angeles this year.
Yeah, all their games are on the road.
They've been down by 16 at the half in Pittsburgh. They came back and won. They were down 14 with 5 minutes left last night. They came back and won. This is a team that is not going to be scared of going into New England or back to Kansas City or anywhere they have to go if they don't win the division. So they win the division and they get home field advantage. That's just gravy for them. I kind of feel like they'd rather go on the road than be at home. Maybe they think they'll thrive more. I think the only benefit is you play one less playoff game. It's one less opportunity to lose and get knocked out. So it's amazing where this Chargers team now is. I hope LA embraces them the way they've embraced the Rams. And it could be that both number one seeds come from Los Angeles this year.
Yeah, it certainly could be. They're an exciting football team. I know that. They're a fearless football team. And, back to your point about galvanizing the locker room and making everybody rally together, yes, there's definitely a valid point. Because even if they missed that 2-point conversion, that would be the type of thing where players would go, okay, I could live with that. I could live with our coach going for the win right there. That was the right play. That crappy defense and secondary, and we got all these studs at wide receiver and Phillip Rivers. That was the right move. So you're right. Even if that didn't work, it wasn't going to blow up in Anthony Lynn's face within the locker room. They were going to be like, okay, our coach has got confidence in us, and we like that. So, hey, the Chargers, I still look at them as, of course, a dangerous team in the AFC. I think the AFC is up for grabs altogether. And just think, they didn't have Melvin Gordon or an Eckler out there last night, too, to run the football and have that kind of aspect of the game that they're also very good at. And we've seen that throughout the year. So they're a team that's really didn't even put on their best display last night. I don't think the Chiefs did either. I think they're both dangerous. But again, this is another team that showed somewhat of the formula a little bit like the Denver Broncos and the Arizona Cardinals played the Chiefs. They did the kind of the same thing. Let's drop everybody back. We got a pretty good front four. Let's keep everything underneath, and let's see if Andy Reid can be patient and Mahomes can be patient and throw the ball underneath and go on these long drives. And like I said, I really think the Chiefs dropped the ball by not running the ball a little bit more. That's the weakness to the Chargers. I talked about it a little yesterday, how small they are. If anybody's out there, pull up their roster, look at their defensive tackles. They only play one linebacker. They play three safeties most of the game. They have issues. We saw the Chiefs rip off some runs there, and I just feel like sometimes the Chiefs and Andy Reid can get a little too thrilled with the pass play.
Well, that's right. And think about it. When you aren't doing the underneath passes because you've got a guy that can periodically or more consistently than that throw the ball down the field with authority, and if you take that away, that's the thing. What do you do in the moment? When someone is taking away what you do best, that's why Bill Belichick does this all the time.
Right.
It rattles a coach. It rattles a team. They've taken away what we want to do, and now we have to do something we really don't want to do. Are we ready to do the thing we don't want to do? And that short week preparation.
No doubt about it.
Did Andy Reid and the coaching staff in Kansas City have a chance to think this through and come up with all the permutations if they take away Tyreek Hill?
Yes.
I mean, they were more worried about Tyreek Hill being able to play, not how are the Chargers going to defend him. But what did they devise in that 3-day window, and how much better could they have been if it would have been a full week to get ready for the game?
Yeah, that's. I mean, I'm glad you brought it up because I didn't want to bring it up because I do every week, I feel like. But it was something that went through my mind a number of times during the game going, hey, if you gave Andy Reid a few extra days and they were going to play these deep zones, I promise you he would have found another handful of plays to come up and go, okay, if they do this, I got a plan B for this, and we'll be able to shred it apart a little bit. Either way, it was all level on both sides. The Chargers outplayed them in the big moments and really made the big plays. And kudos to Phillip Rivers, man. It's a guy that's been through a lot there at the Chargers, and I'm really happy. He's like, I feel like it's almost like with him and Drew Brees, it's like the John Elway feel at the end of his career where you're like, come on, man, let's win one. We can do this. Like, I feel like I'm part of their team both right now, rooting for both of them. So it's kind of cool.
Well, and Breeze has his from 9 years ago. Rivers is the one who doesn't.
Really
all the other older
yeah.
quarterbacks. I mean, Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, Drew Brees, they've got theirs. Aaron Rodgers has his. But Phillip Rivers doesn't have his, and this may be the year that he gets it, or at least it's the last best chance he may have to ever get one the way this team's playing. Although, I don't know, next year may be every bit as good of a chance if they can continue to play the way they've been playing. All right, Chargers, great news. They got the win. They could get the 1 seed. Chiefs, where do they pick up the pieces and go from here? They have a very difficult game coming up in 9 days, and the Seahawks are going to be ready.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.